Hi, welcome to Joey's Hi-Fi Shop. Today we're going to be talking about Rega Phono sections. I just finished doing a pretty extensive comparison of the Rega Phono sections that I have here, which include the Rega Elicit Mk5's phono section built in, the moving magnet, a Rega Phono MM moving magnet, and then a Rega Aria MM phono section. And I also compared the Rega Phono MC and the Rega Aria. The cartridges I used were a Rega ND7 for the moving magnet, and I used a Rega Feta 2 for the MC, and the turntable I used was a Rega Naya. So the system that I listened to it on was the Mk5, the Elicit. And then also I used some name intro 2 speakers that I had just gotten in, which sound fantastic, by the way. And the results were really interesting. I'm a dealer, right? I sell Rega. So take my interpretation as that, right? Because one of the things about me is that I'm a half glass full, not half glass empty kind of person. And so I get really excited about this gear. So if you're looking to be like, you don't know what you're talking about, or this other brand's phono section does this or that, that's great. Buy it, use it, like be happy with it, enjoy it. Again, you have to remember, like, my ethos is I buy Rega not just because of how it sounds, but also because of how it's made and where it's made. Not so much that because it's made in England, but because it's made in-house. And I really like that. I really like that it's designed and made in the same area. And if you've been on my channel, you know I say that pretty much every video I make. So the moving magnet section is the one I'd like to kind of address first, even though it was the second comparison I did, because I assume that's what a lot of people are wondering about. The moving magnet section of the Mk5, I thought, is really great. And the other thing I kind of came away with, and yes, I would need to do more listening to really confirm this, is I really feel like the Rega Naya ND7 combo is a super resolving combo. And the Rega moving magnet phono section built in was great. It sounded good. It was really kind of, I would say, like, for all three of them, all three of the phono sections in this case, they all had good prat. But when you moved up from the built-in moving magnet to the phono section, the Fono MM, what I found to be really beneficial was the weight and tone of the moving magnet phono section, the Fono, the actual external, compared to the internal. And it was slight. I mean, it was subtle but slight. And I've read a lot of reviews online, both technical and also on forums, where people say that the difference between the moving magnet and built in on the phono sections of their amplifiers and the phono is marginal. And I would agree that, it's going to take a pretty serious setup to really get that big difference and appreciate it. That said, if someone was asking me, should I move up from the built-in phono section to a Fono MM, I would have to say no. I don't think it's worth it. There's a difference, but I think that difference would be better suited to be put into the turntable itself or the phono cartridge itself. And because the jump from even the Fono MM to the Aria is just huge. I mean, it's amazing. It sounds completely different. It's it just has, for those that are like a British hi-fi kind of background, it does all the British hi-fi stuff great, but it's also super resolving, and it has a detailed resolution throughout the range of the frequencies, from meaning the low end to the high end. That to me is just amazing. Sound staging, all the traditional hi-fi stuff, like you get that with the Aria. It's really good, really, really good on the moving magnet. And for me, I just felt like, this is stellar. The sound of the Naya ND7 with the Aria really puts it at, granted, that's a really expensive setup, but it puts it at that level. It sounds that good. You're really hearing something special. And I had a great appreciation for that. I think that if you were using, like, say, a Rega P6 with the ND7 and an Aria, I think that would be a great setup. I think if you're using the P6 with the ND7 on just the input of the Elicit Mk5, I think it's a formidable setup. I think it's great and something to possibly move up to an Aria. I love selling new Rega. That's my preference, but as you all know, I also sell pre-owned Rega, and so you can find Rega Arias. There's 3 different versions of it, 3 different generations. So you can find an original Aria, you can find an MK2 and an MK3. And so, that's definitely something to look into if you're like, well, I just don't have those kinds of funds, or I have a P6 with the ND7, but in ratio, I just can't justify spending what the new Rega Aria costs. You can also look at pre-owned ones. You'll find them around every once in a while. I come across them every once in a while. If you're looking for one, let me know. And then moving to the moving coil, that was interesting. The Fono MC versus the Aria was as drastic as the MM versus the Aria MM, which surprised me because I've seen so many people kind of dismiss the Aria's MC section as, because it has a MM and a MC section. A lot of people think it's just kind of combining these two circuitries, the MM and the MC, and it's just all in one box. And I just don't feel that holds up. I think that it's actually different. And so I've really, in getting to listen to it and compare it myself, the MC phono section is great. I've had people with P8 FETA 3s and using Fono MCs, and going from the Fono MC to the Aria made me rethink them having that Fono MC. I'm like, it will make a substantial difference if they get the Aria, and price, everything taken into consideration. It's just, it does that much better, again, with a lot of what I described in the MM area, but with the MC sound. So for those that aren't familiar with moving magnet and moving coil cartridges in general from Rega, my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is that the Rega MMs have, it's like the Exact is a seminal cartridge, in my opinion, from Rega. It's the cartridge that I think embodies the best of Rega moving magnet cartridges, and it is the top of the line until the ND7 came out. And it has this coherency and this warmth to it, and of course carries the pace, rhythm, and timing in a way that has been intoxicating for literally decades. It's been around that long. And when the ND7 came out, a lot of people were wondering, how is this going to perform better than the Exact? And from my experience, the way it performs better than the Exact is just that its pace, rhythm, and timing is just better, and it's also more resolving, and yet it keeps that coherency of the moving magnet experience, that really special, when you get into special high-end moving magnet cartridges, it has that coherency to it that when you listen to lower end moving coil cartridges that cost less or about the same as the higher end moving magnet cartridges that tend to not cost as much, they don't have that coherency. Now they have a detail and what I would call like HiFi traits that are more, I don't know what the word would be, more desirable on a quick listen. I'll put it that way. So if you're listening to jazz or rock or kind of world music, you're going to hear just so much more, quote, going on in a inexpensive MC, but you'll notice that you've lost some of the pace, rhythm, and timing and the coherency. And I'm like really treading fine threads here in water as I describe this. And so I feel like, the best MCs are ones that have all of that, but also have pace, rhythm, and timing and coherency at this kind of like super resolving level, this nuanced level that I just don't often hear in moving magnet cartridges. And the Aphelion 2 and the Apheta 3, I think, do that really well. And I think the Aria Pro is definitely in that space of having that coherency as well. And I think the Aria definitely adds to the sound. Now, one of the things I did note that I would take into account is that when if you a lot of people, when you get a new piece of equipment, you may even still have the old piece, so you're going to compare them. If you do that, which is what I was doing here, really sit and listen to what you're hearing the differences of. One of the things I noticed right away was sometimes like the lower end sounded vastly different. And by different, I mean maybe it didn't have as much weight on certain tracks. And I noticed that it was because of the fact that it was more resolving, especially on the Aria, where you would think this doesn't have quite the weight, but then you would play another record, and then you would hear that it's resolving the records just that much more, and you're hearing the difference in the recording process. And I always, that's something that a lot of people go back and forth on. That's one of the things I really like about a Rega system, is that Rega to me is like a musical first approach, meaning that they're going to have this pace, rhythm, and timing, and then the resolution and the high-end sound come as you move up. But it's going to be snappy and fun to listen to. So if you have a Rega System 1 with a P1 and IO and Rega kites, the sound that you get is actually really pleasant and fun. And I think as you move up in their ranges, they get more resolving and they have that fun. But I think for some, and this will be a little controversial, I think for some though, they don't really, that's not something they're looking for. And I don't have a problem with that. I think, some people just want to set up and listen to music. For me, I want all of that. I want to hear all that. I want to hear the nuance in all the records. And I don't want to hear the nuance in noise. I want to hear the nuance in musicality, which I think is also kind of getting into the weeds from a audiophile perspective and music lover perspective. But as someone that, as you've seen in the different videos that I've created so far, I think about intentionality, I think about sound, and I think about music, and when I'm listening. And so for me, it's really, I love hearing more and more, and I love the fact that Rega's keeping that Pratt first approach. So I'm not hearing a sterilized system. I'm hearing something that does have pace, rhythm, and timing, is very musical, and also very resolving as you move up. But I do see on Facebook posts and a lot of the Rega chats and things like that where people will state, I have a Rega P3 with an exact, and I don't know, like say they had an old Rega Mira integrated and some old speakers, whether it's Rega or Neat or some other brand. And they're like, I'm perfectly happy with this and I don't need to upgrade it. I would say, great, that's awesome. Like, I know I want to sell more hi-fi, but I think that's one of the really magical things about the approach to creating hi-fi this way is that a lot of customers really are happy with what they have and have been happy for decades with it. Now that makes selling hi-fi a little harder sometimes, but I know there are always new people getting into this hobby. And so that's part of the fun for me. So to kind of, recap, I think the Rega Aria is an amazing phono section. And I think it's one that if you're not hearing drastic differences, it may be that your turntable and cartridge setup or something on the other side of the chain is not allowing it to be heard, because it's very, very clear on this, I would say, modest setup with the Mk5 and the Arias. It's not the most high end. It's literally the middle of the road amplifier in their range, or some might argue the Elicit Mk4 is, because they're 6 and they're 4 and 5, or 3 and 4. Sorry. But yeah, that's a very I don't know. I think it's a great phono section, and one that as you build up a system, like even if I was building say I was like a nerdy Rega vintage person, and I was going to do like a Rega P9 with an exact or an Indy 7, or like some kind of a Feta cartridge, I would definitely think an Aria of any vintage would be a really great step up to any of the other phono sections available for Rega. Now, I know there are some like esoteric ones that they made in the 90s and the 2000s, the EOS, but I'm talking about mainstream attainable ones. Those are, for those that don't know, the ones I just mentioned are just not in high circulation. It's not that they're not great phono sections for that era. It's just you can't really get them because they don't go for sale very often. But I digress. So yeah, moving magnet wise, another thing that just was made super clear to me is just the Rega Indy 7 is an amazing cartridge. I can't recommend it enough, whether you're using a P3, P6, and then of course a 8 or 9 or 8, 10 or a Naya. It just gets better and better as you move up the turntables. The cartridge is more resolving, which is amazing. Other than that, Rega has announced a new Rega Brio is coming out. It'll have a digital phono section. Or digital phono will not have it will have a phono section. It'll have digital inputs. And they also have a high-end preamp and amp coming out that I'm super excited about. I haven't got pricing on those, ETAs on those. I've told them that I want them, our importer. But other than that, haven't really heard too much more about them. There's some photos on their Instagram if you want to go over there and check out Rega's Instagram. And then on the pre-owned report, I have at right now, I think it's March 23rd or 24th, something like that. I have a Rega P3 Indy 5. I haven't posted it yet. I think I said that in the last video. I'll post it soon. But if you're watching this and you're interested in one, of course, I have these Rega Phono sections here. This is I think 3rd gen MM, and this is a 4th gen MC. And I've also got a Rega Jupiter IO. I've got a Cursa Maya preamp power amp combo. And I've got a Rega Mira. I have a whole slew. They're listed on my website, joeyshifi.shop. And you can go check out there. If there's something you're looking for, let me know. I also got the Rega speaker cables I was telling you about. I have made some sets. I have 8-foot and 12-foot sets available. So, I think The next thing I've got coming in currently is I have a Rega P2 demo with the ND3. I'm really excited to do a video about that, so stay on the lookout. I think it's going to be, I'm thinking that turntable, and I could be wrong, let's get it and listen to it, but I'm thinking that turntable really is like the new P3 in terms of affordability. And now that they've addressed a couple of things on the P2's arm, that I think it's the 220, it should be really, really potent in terms of upgradability. And I'm going to definitely try the ND5 and the ND7 on it and see what those upgrades are like. I also have a Rega RS, so maybe I can do some comparisons there and let y'all know what I think about the differences. Because, you know, in general, prices have gone up for everything, and I think the Rega P2 is just if it sounds the way I'm used to it sounding, I think it should be a really, really competent setup. So I hope y'all enjoy these videos. I know I kind of go a little tangential, but it's really because I'm trying to methodically work through this journey of building this hi-fi shop. Like me getting the P2 ND3 is so that I have that and I can show that and not just have a Rega Naya. It's like I want to have a range, and so I'll slowly fill in all these gaps. And I believe I've said this before, but once I have everything I feel that's pretty competent in terms of a range, then we'll start looking for the physical space rather than selling out of my place and having pop-ups. And I will take y'all on that journey as well. So it's a multi-year process in my book, but I think it's one that hopefully y'all will grow to appreciate, and also appreciate the building and listening and kind of this cultural journey of hi-fi. So I plan to keep bringing more people on and having discussions. And also, if you haven't gone to check out our Instagram, it's Joey's Hi-Fi Shop. Please go give it a follow. Really appreciate it. And thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you're having a good day and that you have a great rest of your week. Take it easy.